All right, guys, so this is a tutorial that's going to talk about how you can begin to frame the issues of your design problem. You can turn that into a concept statement, and you can begin to extract programmatic elements from the solution to your concept statement. And those programmatic elements you can then use on your site plan to locate where you might have some of these design areas. So my site that I'm using as an example is in Copenhagen. This is a project that I did during my master's. It was also during my second semester. So I was in kind of the same headspace that you guys are in. My project was on an old rail line in the south of Copenhagen. And I decided that I wanted to do a public space that was different from the public spaces I had seen in Copenhagen before. So I'm going to walk you through my reasoning process for how I framed the issues that I saw. So I'm going to begin just by writing, Copenhagen has plenty of beautiful, good weather public spaces, and these are full when the weather is good. So there's lots of parks and gardens, but the weather in Copenhagen is often cloudy, rainy, cold, and windy. So right here, this indicates that I have done background research. So all of the analysis that you guys did in the first week, where you're looking at climate data, daylight hours, average rainfall days, precipitation, and wind direction, that is not just for fun. That is because it actually has an impact on what you decide to create. This can actually be part of your programmatic elements. So the next part of my statement. So the city has a goal to create public spaces in the city that are functional and can be used year-round. And this, again, is based on research that I did. So I read a report from the city. It talks about their goals for public space. So we have a sort of backup for this statement, but they have not yet developed a strategy on how to reach this goal. So with this, I'm setting myself up to create a answer to a problem that exists. And it's grounded in research, and it has a background in the city's own stated goals for Copenhagen. Now I set up my health concern. In the Northern Hemisphere, and particularly in Nordic regions, nearly 15% of residents suffer from seasonal affective disorder. People with seasonal affective disorder feel an overwhelming sense of lethargy and depression during the dark winter months. Here I have this fact about the 15% of residents, which is a significant portion, and that comes from research that I did in the background before I began writing this statement. Now I can take this statement and begin to create a solution. So let's wrap all of this into one design statement. I want to create a park. You guys are creating a garden. I was creating a park. I want to create a park that is therapeutic for sad sufferers and that comes alive when the weather is bad. It's simple, it's direct, it's specific, and it's focused on the problems that I have just framed. But you notice I needed all of these statements to frame the issues. I can't just talk about my design statement without any context around it. Because if I just tell people I want to create a park that's therapeutic for sad sufferers that comes alive when the weather is bad, they're going to ask why. So keep in mind that this is a real project that I worked on. So my program was different from yours. I did not have to use planting in a specific way like you do. So my example is going to be a little bit different, but I want you to take the principles of how this got formulated and bring it into your design process. Okay, that brings us to the next part, which is how do we solve this problem? And that is going to involve research. You don't know how to solve these problems, and part of master studies is being able to reach out for the studies and the data that you need to support your argument. I've told you in the first semester that doing a design is almost like writing an essay. you're putting together the arguments for your proposal. I did a lot of research about my problem and I came up with 4 potential solutions. Okay, so the first solution is bright light therapy. I discovered research that said that light can trigger the release of hormones that wake us up, and also that light therapy is used in the treatment of SAD, but it's also highly effective for anybody who is affected by or experiencing a decrease of energy, particularly during the winter months. So now I see this and I can create a design program element. I can think about light installations, I can think about light walls, I can think about reflective surfaces. I can use that all in this treatment of SAD using bright light therapy in my park. All right, my next solution, rainwater features. Remember, this is not just a park for SAD sufferers. This is a park that should come alive when the weather is bad. So I'm going to use what I know about rain to create features on my site. So Copenhagen sees an average of 181 days a year with at least 1 millimeter of precipitation. That goes back to my climate research. To take advantage of this free water, rainwater is going to be redirected, filtered, and used in fountains, reflecting pools, splash pools, dog wash stations, and other water features like skating rinks on my site. So I have room on my site for lots of programmatic elements because my site is a lot bigger than yours. You're going to have fewer probably programmatic elements that you can fit onto your site, but it's always better to start with a bigger list and reduce it down than to not have enough programmatic elements to think about. All right, so the third solution that I have is radiant seating, and this is to combat the feeling of cold during the winter. So during my site research, I discovered that under the site there's a parking lot, and this exhausts onto the green space above. So the air from that exhaust is always warmer than the ambient air during the winter. And I saw the potential to use this air. I could filter it and remove the particulates, and I could redirect that air into warm, radiant seating. So the programmatic element here would be warm seating elements that are reusing existing air from below the site to create comfortable places where people can relax. The fourth solution that I want to use in my therapeutic garden are evergreen scented walls. So I again frame this issue in a miniature format within each of these points. So Copenhagen is considered a green city, but it has few street trees and even fewer evergreen species. And I could refer to Copenhagen's street tree strategy document if I wanted to back this up. Evergreens can provide respite and color during the gray winter months. They also give off pleasant aromas like juniper, cedar, balsam fir, and hemlock. So I can then propose a programmatic element, and that is planted evergreen areas and specifically evergreen walls. All right, after I've listed all these solutions, I'm just going to summarize the program elements that I derived from those solutions. So we have rainwater features, light therapy, evergreen scented walls, and radiant seating. And I begin to ask myself a question: what do I need to do to create a park, or in your case, a garden, that can host all of these programmatic elements while also creating a space that provides respite? And I could even expand that further and say that has respite from wind, because one of the things I didn't address in my solutions was a place that was calm, protected, and enclosed. I think that would be kind of like the guiding concept behind all of my solutions. So I can take this kind of question that I'm asking and begin to answer it by drawing some simple diagrams. Here we have the existing site topography, and here is the wind, the prevailing wind. And if we have somebody on the site, they are going to be completely exposed to the conditions. And I want to create a calm, enclosed, protected area. So what could I do to the site to change that? This is the crux of the question, which is, how do I create a space that functions just as well, if not better, in bad weather than it does in good? So I propose in this little diagram a change of topography. And this is my big move. I'm going to use topography to create spaces that are calm and protected, where somebody can stand maybe within an area that has some of the solution features that I talked about before. And they don't have to worry about wind. They don't have to worry about feeling inhospitable in this environment. So I'm going to use this site topography diagram as the beginning for the concept plan.